In part 2 of this series, we'll explore 16 of the most common behavioral and leadership interview questions and answers you will be asked during your project manager interview. Each answer can be customized to highlight your unique qualifications and experiences. Before your interview, it's important to research the company and review the job description so you can incorporate key skills relevant to the job role in your answers. Question number 1. Tell me about a time you led a project from start to finish. Hiring managers ask this to see if you can take ownership, organize moving parts, and deliver results. They want to hear how you structured the project, handled challenges, and drove it to completion. Focus on clarity, leadership, and measurable outcomes rather than just describing tasks. I led a cross-functional project to launch a new internal reporting system that replaced several manual processes. At the start, I worked with stakeholders from finance, operations, and IT to clearly define requirements and success metrics, which helped avoid confusion later on. I built a detailed project plan with milestones, assigned responsibilities based on team strengths, and set up weekly check-ins to track progress and address blockers early. Midway through the project, we faced delays due to conflicting priorities from one department. Instead of pushing forward blindly, I scheduled a focused alignment meeting to revisit priorities and adjust timelines while keeping the overall goal intact. I also introduced a shared dashboard so everyone had visibility into progress. We successfully delivered the project 2 weeks ahead of schedule, reduced reporting time by 40%, and improved data accuracy. More importantly, the team felt aligned and confident throughout the process, which I believe is just as critical as the final outcome. Question number 2. Tell me about a time you had to lead a team through a challenging situation. Hiring managers ask this to evaluate how you lead under pressure and guide a team through uncertainty. They want to see emotional control, clear direction, and how you keep people focused when things get difficult. Focus on how you supported the team while still driving results. I led a project where we were implementing a new client onboarding process, and halfway through, the client changed key requirements that impacted our entire timeline. The team quickly became frustrated because a lot of their work had to be reworked. I knew that if I didn't step in early, morale would drop and productivity would suffer. I brought the team together to clearly explain the situation, what had changed, and why it mattered to the client. I made sure everyone understood that their previous work wasn't wasted, but rather a foundation we could build on. I then broke the revised scope into smaller, manageable tasks and reassigned priorities so the team could regain momentum. Throughout the process, I stayed visible, checked in frequently, and made sure blockers were removed quickly. We not only delivered the updated project on time, but also received positive feedback from the client for our flexibility and communication. Question number 3. Describe a time you had to manage conflict within your team. This question helps hiring managers understand how you handle interpersonal challenges and maintain team productivity. They want to see that you address conflict early, stay neutral, and focus on solutions rather than blame. Your answer should show maturity and strong communication skills. During a software implementation project, 2 key team members, one from development and one from QA, had ongoing disagreements about timelines and testing standards. Their conflict started affecting deliverables and creating tension across the team. I scheduled a one-on-one conversation with each of them to understand their perspectives without interruption. It became clear that both were focused on quality but had different approaches. I then brought them together in a structured discussion where we aligned on shared goals and clarified expectations. To prevent further issues, I introduced a clearer workflow with defined checkpoints and responsibilities, which reduced ambiguity. I also encouraged more proactive communication between them instead of waiting until issues escalated. After that, collaboration improved significantly, and the project moved forward smoothly. We met our deadline, and both team members developed a stronger working relationship, which carried into future projects. Question number 4. Tell me about a time a project did not go as planned. Hiring managers ask this to see how you handle setbacks and whether you take accountability. They're looking for honesty, problem solving, and what you learned from the experience. Focus less on the failure itself and more on how you responded. I managed a project to roll out a new scheduling system across multiple departments, and early in the rollout, we experienced low user adoption. Despite meeting technical requirements, employees found the system difficult to use, which slowed down operations instead of improving them. Rather than ignoring the issue, I took ownership and gathered feedback directly from users to understand the problem. It became clear that we had focused too much on functionality and not enough on usability and training. I worked with the team to simplify certain features and created short practical training sessions tailored to each department. We paused the full rollout, implemented these changes, and relaunched in phases. Adoption rates increased significantly, and we ended up exceeding our original efficiency targets. That experience taught me the importance of involving end users earlier in the process and not assuming that a technically sound solution will automatically meet practical needs. Question number 5. Describe a time you had to make a difficult decision as a project manager. This question is used to assess your decision-making ability and how you balance competing priorities. Hiring managers want to see that you can make tough calls confidently while considering risks and outcomes. Focus on your thought process and the impact of your decision. During a product launch project, we were approaching our deadline when a critical feature was flagged as unstable during final testing. Delivering on time was important, but releasing a flawed product could damage trust with users. I had to decide whether to delay the launch or move forward and address the issue later. After consulting with the team and evaluating the potential risks, I decided to delay the launch by 1 week. I communicated this clearly to stakeholders, explaining the reasoning and how it would ultimately protect the product's quality and reputation. I worked closely with the team during that extra week to ensure the issue was fully resolved and no new risks were introduced. When we launched, the product performed as expected, and we received strong positive feedback. That experience reinforced for me that making the right decision isn't always the easiest one, but prioritizing long-term value over short-term pressure is key as a project manager. Question number 6. Tell me about a time you had to motivate a team under pressure. Hiring managers ask this to see how you maintain team energy and focus when deadlines are tight. They want to understand how you keep people engaged without burning them out. Focus on how you balanced urgency with support and clear direction. I was leading a project with a tight deadline to deliver a client-facing dashboard, and midway through, we lost 2 team members due to unexpected resource changes. The remaining team was stretched thin, and I could sense motivation starting to drop as the pressure increased. I first acknowledged the situation openly with the team instead of ignoring it. I reassessed the workload and redistributed tasks based on individual strengths to make things more manageable. I also broke the remaining work into smaller milestones, so progress felt more achievable and visible. To keep morale up, I made it a point to recognize quick wins during daily check-ins and ensured everyone had a voice to raise concerns early. I stayed closely involved to remove blockers quickly so the team could stay focused. We delivered the project on time, and the team felt a strong sense of accomplishment. It showed me that motivation isn't just about pushing harder, but about creating clarity, support, and momentum when it matters most. Question number 7. Describe a time you had to manage multiple stakeholders with different priorities. This question helps hiring managers assess how you balance competing interests and maintain alignment. They want to see clear communication, negotiation, and the ability to keep the project moving forward. Focus on how you created structure and clarity. I worked on a project where marketing, product, and operations all had different priorities for a new feature rollout. Marketing wanted speed to meet campaign timelines, product focused on quality, and operations was concerned about implementation impact. To manage this, I first met with each stakeholder group individually to fully understand their priorities and concerns. Then I brought everyone together in a joint session where I outlined the overall project goals and highlighted where priorities overlapped. I proposed a phased rollout approach that allowed marketing to meet key deadlines while giving product enough time to ensure quality and allowing operations to prepare properly. I also set up regular status updates so everyone stayed informed and aligned. By creating transparency and focusing on shared outcomes, we avoided unnecessary conflict and delivered a successful rollout that satisfied all groups. It reinforced the importance of listening first and aligning second when managing stakeholders. Question number 8. Tell me about a time you took ownership of a project problem. Hiring managers ask this to see accountability and leadership. They want to know if you step up when things go wrong or shift blame. Focus on how you identified the issue, took action, and improved the outcome. During a system upgrade project, we experienced a delay because a key dependency was not properly accounted for in the initial planning phase. Although multiple teams were involved, I recognized that as the project manager, it was my responsibility to address the issue and move things forward. I immediately gathered the relevant teams to fully understand the impact and identify possible solutions. Instead of focusing on what went wrong, I shifted the conversation toward how we could recover. I revised the project timeline, prioritized critical tasks, and ensured resources were reallocated where needed. I also improved our tracking process by introducing a more detailed dependency checklist to prevent similar issues in the future. I communicated updates clearly to stakeholders so expectations were managed. We were able to recover most of the lost time and successfully complete the project. That experience strengthened my approach to ownership and reinforced the importance of proactive planning and accountability. Question number 9. Describe a time you had to deal with a difficult team member. This question evaluates your ability to handle performance or attitude issues within a team. Hiring managers want to see that you address problems directly while maintaining professionalism. Focus on communication, understanding, and resolution. I worked on a project where one team member consistently missed deadlines and was unresponsive during key phases. This started affecting overall progress and created frustration within the team. Instead of addressing it publicly, I scheduled a private conversation to understand what was causing the issue. During that discussion, I learned they were overwhelmed with competing responsibilities and unclear expectations from multiple projects. I worked with them to clarify priorities, set more realistic deadlines, and established regular check-ins to track progress. I also made sure expectations were clearly documented so there was no confusion moving forward. Over time, their performance improved significantly, and they became more engaged with the team. The project got back on track, and team morale improved. This situation reinforced for me that addressing issues early and understanding the root cause leads to better long-term results. Question number 10. Tell me about a time you had to influence others without direct authority. Hiring managers ask this to see how you lead when you don't have formal authority. They want to understand your communication style, persuasion skills, and how you build alignment. Focus on how you gained buy-in rather than forcing decisions. I led a project that required support from a senior engineering team that I didn't directly manage. They were already committed to other priorities, so getting their attention and alignment was a challenge. Instead of pushing for immediate action, I focused on understanding their workload and concerns first. I scheduled a meeting to clearly outline how the project aligned with broader business goals and how their contribution would directly impact overall success. I also presented a realistic plan that minimized disruption to their existing work and showed flexibility in timelines where possible. To build trust, I kept communication transparent and followed through on every commitment I made. Over time, they became more engaged and supportive of the project. We successfully delivered the project on schedule, and the collaboration improved for future initiatives. It showed me that influence comes from clarity, respect, and alignment, not authority. Question number 11. Tell me about a time you had to handle a tight deadline. This question helps hiring managers evaluate how you perform under pressure and manage time effectively. They want to see prioritization, decision-making, and focus. Highlight how you stayed organized and delivered results without losing control. I managed a project where we had to deliver a client proposal within a very short time frame due to a last-minute request. The timeline was significantly shorter than usual, and there were multiple components that needed input from different teams. I quickly assessed the scope and identified the most critical elements required for the proposal. I then broke the work into clear prioritized tasks and assigned responsibilities based on team strengths. To keep things moving, I set up short focused check-ins throughout the day instead of long meetings. I also ensured that any blockers were addressed immediately so no time was wasted. By maintaining clear communication and staying focused on priorities, we were able to complete the proposal on time. The client responded positively, and we secured the project. That experience reinforced the importance of staying structured and calm, even when timelines are extremely tight. Question number 12. Describe a time you had to adapt. quickly to change in a project. Hiring managers ask this to see flexibility and how you handle unexpected changes. They want to know if you can adjust plans without losing momentum. Focus on your ability to stay composed and realign the team quickly. I was managing a project where we were close to final delivery when a key stakeholder requested a significant change in scope due to new business requirements. This had the potential to disrupt timelines and create confusion within the team. Instead of reacting negatively, I took a step back to assess the impact of the change. I worked with the team to understand what adjustments were needed and reprioritized tasks accordingly. I also communicated clearly with stakeholders about how the change would affect timelines and set realistic expectations. To keep the team aligned, I updated the project plan and ensured everyone understood the new direction. I also made sure to maintain regular communication so any issues could be addressed quickly. We successfully incorporated the changes and delivered a solution that met the updated requirements. It showed me that adaptability is about staying focused on the goal while being flexible with the path to get there. Question number 13. Tell me about a time you had to delegate tasks effectively. This question evaluates how well you distribute work and utilize your team's strengths. Hiring managers want to see that you trust your team while maintaining accountability. Focus on clarity, matching skills to tasks, and follow-up. I led a project that involved multiple work streams, including design, development, and testing. Early on, I realized that trying to oversee every detail myself would slow the project down and limit the team's potential. I took time to understand each team member's strengths and experience, then assigned tasks based on where they could add the most value. I made sure expectations were clearly defined, including timelines and deliverables, so there was no confusion. To maintain accountability, I set up regular check-ins to review progress and provide support where needed without micromanaging. I also encouraged team members to take ownership of their areas and share updates proactively. As a result, the project progressed smoothly and team members felt more engaged and confident in their roles. We delivered on time and the quality of work was strong. It reinforced for me that effective delegation is about trust, clarity, and consistent communication. Question number 14. Describe a time you had to resolve a miscommunication within your team. Hiring managers ask this to see how you handle breakdowns in communication, which are very common in project environments. They want to know if you can quickly identify the issue, clarify expectations, and prevent it from happening again. Focus on how you brought clarity and improved team alignment. During a project involving both design and development teams, a miscommunication occurred around feature requirements. The design team delivered assets based on one interpretation, while the development team had a different understanding, which led to delays and frustration. I stepped in to address the issue by first reviewing where the communication gap happened. I realized that the initial requirements were discussed verbally but not clearly documented. I organized a meeting with both teams to walk through the requirements step by step and align on expectations. After that, I introduced a more structured approach where all key requirements were documented and shared in a centralized space. I also encouraged teams to confirm understanding before moving forward. This not only resolved the immediate issue but also improved communication for the rest of the project. We got back on track quickly and delivered successfully with fewer misunderstandings moving forward. Question number 15. Tell me about a time you had to take accountability for a mistake. This question helps hiring managers evaluate honesty, ownership, and professionalism. They want to see that you don't shift blame and that you learn from mistakes. Focus on what you did to fix the issue and what changed afterward. During a project rollout, I underestimated the time required for a key testing phase, which caused a delay in the overall timeline. While there were other contributing factors, I recognized that the initial planning was my responsibility. I addressed the issue by openly acknowledging the mistake to both the team and stakeholders. I then worked quickly to adjust the timeline, reallocate resources, and prioritize critical tasks to minimize further impact. I also ensured that communication remained clear so expectations were managed. After the project, I took steps to improve my planning process by building in more buffer time for testing and incorporating feedback from technical teams earlier in the timeline. Although the delay wasn't ideal, we still delivered a strong final product. More importantly, it reinforced for me that accountability builds trust and that continuous improvement is essential in project management. And finally, here's the last project manager behavioral and leadership interview question. Question number 16. Describe a time you had to lead a project with limited resources. Hiring managers ask this to see how resourceful you are and how you maximize output with constraints. They want to know if you can prioritize effectively and still deliver results. Focus on creativity, prioritization, and efficiency. I led a project where we had a limited budget and a smaller team than originally planned, but expectations for delivery remained high. Instead of viewing it as a limitation, I focused on identifying what was truly essential to achieve the project goals. I worked with stakeholders to clearly define priorities and remove non-critical features that would not impact the overall outcome. I also reassigned tasks based on team strengths to ensure we were using our resources as efficiently as possible. To keep progress steady, I introduced shorter work cycles and frequent check-ins to quickly address any issues. I also encouraged open communication so the team could flag challenges early. Despite the constraints, we delivered the project successfully and met all key objectives. It showed me that strong prioritization and clear focus can often make a bigger impact than simply having more resources. If you want to learn more on how to land jobs and reach your career goals, don't forget to hit that subscribe and bell notification button to get new videos every single week. Also, don't forget to hit that like button because that motivates me to keep doing what I do. Stay safe, keep smiling, and good luck.